Am I the antagonist for spreading my spouse's ashes without inviting their sister? My wife passed away in June of last year. It has been a difficult transition for me, but I am holding it together and adjusting to my new life. My wife specified in her will that I and a couple who were with us when we were married in Hawaii 30 years ago returned to Hawaii to spread her ashes at Waitchinapanapa State Park on Maui. Our trip is planned for October, where I will spread her ashes on our anniversary at the place we agreed is the most beautiful place we have ever seen. My wife had two sisters, one of whom I will call Lara. Before passing, my wife warned me that Lara was going to have a very hard time dealing with her passing, and she was right. Lara is still very emotional about her sister's passing and has said several times that she wants to go when I make the trip to spread the ashes. I always remained non-committal on that. The thing is, I want to stick with what my wife specified in her will, which is me and our two close friends taking the trip together. While this trip has a purpose, it is also a vacation for me. I and my two friends are making it a blowout vacation, with first-class plane tickets and beachfront rooms in nice hotels, something I have never done before, but that is how my wife would have wanted us to do it. Lara is on very limited retirement income and could not afford to join us if invited. I guess I could pay for it, but I do not want a vacation with her. She is a sweet and thoughtful person, but disaster seems to follow her everywhere. I like her, I just do not want a vacation with her. Today Lara asked me if I had made my plans to spread the ashes, and I told her I have. I know she is hurt. I am not inviting her. I could see it in her eyes. After all, this is her sister, and I understand how she feels and how this would provide her with closure. I have thought about giving her some of the ashes she could spread somewhere herself, but I do not like the idea of splitting them up. I could suggest she and her husband join us then go our separate ways, but it is almost like taunting her since she has such limited income. I am torn between what I need and what my wife's sister needs and just want to do the right thing. Am I the asshole because I will not invite or pay for my wife's sister to join me when I spread my wife's ashes? It's clear you have a deep connection with your late wife and a special plan to honor her wishes, which is commendable. While it's understandable that Lara wants to be part of this moment, it's also okay to prioritize your emotional journey and the intentions set by your wife without feeling guilty. Communication is key. Maybe openly discussing your feelings with Lara could lead to a solution that respects both of your needs and connections to your wife. Am I the antagonist for refusing to participate in my cousin's church ceremony? My baba was born in the Soviet Union and is Russian Orthodox. So my older cousins and my older sister speak, read and write Russian fluently. However, as my baba got older and she had more grandchildren, she lacked the time and energy to continue taking us to Saturday school and teaching us the language. I am grandkid number 13th. I speak very little Russian and I can't read or write it at all. My cousin Madalina is turning 13, which is a huge milestone and represents becoming a woman. As the next oldest cousin, I am expected to sort of mentor her through the process. As I've gotten older, I've really enjoyed teaching my younger cousins about our culture, so I agreed, and it's been a lot of fun. However, my aunt recently asked me if I had looked at the readings I'd be doing. I should have known there were readings, but I assumed my next oldest cousin Anastasia would be doing them, as I did one at my ceremony and it went disastrously. Baba had to anglicize it for me so I could read it, and my pronunciation was so terrible my family joked that I was speaking Spanish. I still get jokes made about it to this day, all in jest, but it's still a bit hurtful. I joked to my aunt that I could only read it if it was written in Spanish, but eventually realized she was serious. After talking to my baba and members of the church, I found they were highly reluctant to let others step in, as it was traditional for the next oldest girl to do it. They told me just to practice, but it's a long Bible passage, not easily memorized. I told my baba I would not do the reading, and she was extremely upset with me. I offered to read it in English, or let Anastasia or another cousin do it. She told me I was selfish for taking away from Madalina's day, and that if I didn't want a mentor, I should have said no from the beginning. The dress had already been bought for me as a surprise, and my baba had hand-embroidered matching traditional hair covers for me, and Madalina especially. My whole family is furious with me, and Madalina is distraught. She says I've taken away the tradition of her day, and I shouldn't have agreed to mentor her if I didn't want to. I apologized, but my aunt, Madalina's mum, told me not to bother coming to the ceremony, and that if I really felt that way about church, I shouldn't worry about going anymore. I feel terrible. I just can't embarrass myself and my whole family like that again. It's a small church, and people talk, and everyone was so disappointed in me when I screwed it up last time. I hate to have let Madalina down, and I know I should have known there would be a reading in the first place, but I also think it's unfair that they expect me to do it knowing how it went last time. Despite all this, I know that Madalina will be better off with Anastasia anyway. So, am I the asshole for refusing to participate in Madalina's church ceremony? It's clear that you had good intentions in mentoring your cousin, and it's understandable that you don't want to risk embarrassment again. However, it seems like there was a miscommunication about your role in the ceremony, and it's important to communicate openly with your family to find a resolution that respects everyone's feelings and traditions. Am I the antagonist for wasting my parents' money and refusing to pay them back? I am a 34-year-old female who was born in the United States and is of South Asian descent. My parents have attempted to arrange several marriages for me. Due to my age, they have been pressuring me relentlessly to settle down. I have been introduced to 3 potential matches, all of which I have rejected. My father insists that I am too picky and that any man would do, stating that it is up to me to make a marriage successful. Personally, I am quite skeptical about marriage, which has led me to become the black sheep of the family for remaining single. Last year, my parents introduced me to another potential match. We started chatting on WhatsApp and then met in person. He seemed like a good match, and I was tired of hearing comments from older friends and family members. I informed my parents that he was a suitable match, and they began planning the wedding. We were supposed to get married in 2 months, but then a woman messaged me claiming to be my fiancé's girlfriend. Initially, I thought it was a scam, but she had detailed knowledge about him and provided photos of them together. She revealed that they had been in a relationship for 6 years and were supposed to be getting married. I confronted my fiancé, and he admitted that the woman was telling the truth, but assured me he would end the relationship once we were married. When I asked if they were still together, he said no, but the woman sent a photo of them kissing at a recent festival, leading me to doubt his intentions and suspect that he plans to maintain a relationship on the side after our marriage. I informed my parents that I wanted to call off the wedding, which made them very angry. Despite showing them the photos and sharing what my fiancé had revealed, they insisted that the woman was lying and accused me of getting cold feet. I continued to emphasize that he had not ended the relationship, but they refused to believe me, citing his parents' claim that he had never had a girlfriend. I felt frustrated and adamant about not proceeding with the marriage, which resulted in my mother yelling at me for wasting money. They justified his behavior by stating that it is normal for men to date around, but they assured me he would be faithful once we were married because that's how it works. A non-refundable $10,000 deposit had been made for the venue and catering. My parents now demand that I repay them because I decided to call off the wedding. I have refused, leading to them and other extended family members calling to berate me. It's completely valid to prioritize your own happiness and well-being in matters of marriage, especially when faced with such a concerning situation. Your parents' reaction is understandably fueled by their own beliefs, but ultimately, your decision to call off the wedding was a brave and necessary step towards ensuring your own future satisfaction. Am I the antagonist for refusing to let my father-in-law stay with us for a hospital visit? I, 28 years old female, have been with my partner, 28 years old male, for 8 years, and for the first 2 years of our relationship, I had a really decent relationship with my in-laws. At that time, my partner never made me aware of his childhood trauma and neglect by his parents and family, and they never mentioned it and pretended like they were just one big happy family. Fast forward to us getting married, and my in-laws have really shown their true colors, literally on the day of. They were extremely demanding and entitled to the extent that my mother-in-law tried to force me to leave one of my wedding events right before it was meant to start to pick her up. With absolutely no warning, I could have organized a driver for her if she let me know beforehand. When I refused, she got really mad and all things went downhill after that. They consistently got mad at me and my partner over the dumbest things, like wanting to spend our first day as a married couple at home, in bed, relaxing, after a week of chaos and wedding events instead of hanging out with them. They took to Facebook about how ungrateful and horrible we were, which only distanced my partner's entire family from him even more. And they even went as far as to move hotels without letting us know where, so that we wouldn't find or reach them. This is just a small snippet of things I've had to endure from my in-laws. Now to my father-in-law, I truly feel for him and his own upbringing and toxic marriage. However, this man would consistently yell and berate me every time his wife was upset with me. I was told to go to hell, to shove it up my ass, I was called horrible things, and was constantly fueled with anxiety because of the way he would attack me. He doesn't even attack his own children like this. Luckily, my husband decided that we can finally distance ourselves and cut them off after our first daughter was born. Now they are both having some health issues, and my father-in-law has been needing specialists for a damaged nerve problem or something. They live up in the country, and we live around the city, so he has approached my husband a few times about staying at our place because of a hospital appointment he had, to avoid the long drive. I refused as I didn't feel comfortable, and I'm already struggling so much with this second pregnancy. My husband is upset with me. He says that he's been building up resentment towards me since I said no because I couldn't compromise and be uncomfortable for him for just 1 day so that his dad could stay with us and go to the hospital. I'm so hurt and confused. Despite us cutting them off, since I found out about their health issues, I've had no problem going up for visits with our daughter so they could meet their granddaughter for the first time. But somehow he says that wasn't a compromise and wasn't enough. I'm really confused, and I'm actually starting to feel like a bad person right now for saying no. So please, am I the asshole? It sounds like you've gone through a lot with your in-laws, and it's understandable that you feel uncomfortable having your father-in-law stay over, especially with everything you're dealing with during your pregnancy. Your husband's feelings are valid too, but it's important for both of you to prioritize your own well-being and boundaries in this situation. Am I the antagonist for taking in my mother-in-law's wedding dress? My brother-in-law Jamie, 30 years old, is getting married in a couple of months to my sister-in-law Emily, 30 years old. She is a lovely woman, and I have known her for 2 years since she started dating Jamie. Emily has started to look for wedding dresses, and she said she would not be wearing her mother's as it was not her style. My mother-in-law then offered her wedding dress. For information, my in-laws got married at 18 and 20. They were not wealthy at the time, and my mother-in-law's wedding dress was very simple and casual. My husband is adopted, and when we were planning our wedding, my mother-in-law offered her dress to me as well. I adored it, and more than that, it was a more emotional thing than just a dress. I loved my mother-in-law and wanted to have something of hers for my wedding. Plus, she has always felt that her wedding was very simple, so my wearing her dress meant a lot to her. Emily, however, declined the dress and said she wanted her own. This was well received by my mother-in-law, who then told me to take the dress permanently and pass it on to our kids if we wanted to. As I wore it first, it should then go to me. However, yesterday we had dinner at our in-laws, and Emily pulled me aside and asked me if our mother-in-law didn't like her. I assured her that was not the case, that she was lovely, and that we both were ecstatic that she was joining the family. She then, albeit very politely, said that my constant being joined at the hip with my mother-in-law and always doing everything she asks me to makes Emily feel like our mother-in-law loves me more. And maybe I might back off, as she feels like I'm trying too hard, which is why she is falling short. My wearing my mother-in-law's wedding dress and keeping it as an heirloom just made her look bad. Honestly, I'm not confrontational, but I told her that my relationship with my mother-in-law was not going to change from my side, and that I was extremely sorry if she felt hurt by me in any way. I then excused myself, and when we were home, I told my husband what Emily said to me. He was mad and went outside to call my brother-in-law, and I didn't hear what he said. I thought that would be it, as I asked him not to involve his parents in our issues. Today, Emily's maid of honor called me and told me off for being a snitch and wanting my in-laws to always fawn over me. She said she couldn't believe I'd ruin a relationship over a dress, and I should just give it back to make it even with Emily. She also told me to back off from my brother-in-law's relationship, as I have now caused issues between them. I feel awful for ruining what was a great relationship between me and Emily, and I'm feeling guilty for saying anything, and hopefully should have kept my mouth shut. Am I the asshole? It sounds like a misunderstanding and miscommunication has caused some tension in your family dynamics. Your connection with your mother-in-law is special to you, and it's understandable that you wanted to honor that sentiment by wearing her wedding dress. It's important to communicate openly with Emily and find a resolution that honors both her feelings and your relationship with your mother-in-law without causing further strain on your family dynamics. Am I the antagonist for allowing my child to make their own decisions? I am a 40-year-old male with 15-year-old twins named Jack, male, and Jade, female. My ex-partner, Carrie, 41, and I are no longer together. In short, she was a drug addict who was sentenced to 7 years in jail for multiple crimes. Since then, she has gotten clean, remarried, and had more children. In about 2 weeks, the twins will be celebrating their 16th birthday, and they are very excited. Yesterday, I spoke with each of them separately about the party. Jade mentioned inviting friends, family, and her mom. Jack, on the other hand, said he was inviting some friends. When I mentioned Jade inviting their mom, Jack responded, "I don't care what she does as long as she stays away from me." Upon further discussion, Jack expressed feeling hurt by his mom's past actions, stating that she prioritized drugs over her own children. He mentioned that she left when he was 4, returned when he was 11, and then started a new family without considering her existing children. This revelation saddened me, as I knew he had unresolved feelings towards his mom, but I didn't realize they were this intense. Jack even refers to my wife, Morgan, 39, as his real mom because she has been present for all the important moments in his life. While I didn't want him to completely dismiss Carrie, I acknowledged that he is entitled to his feelings at this stage of his life and assured him that I respected his decisions. This morning, Carrie called me and became upset, insisting that I should have compelled Jack to invite her and maintain a relationship with her. In response, I reminded her of the impact her actions had on 3 lives, emphasizing that the consequences of her decisions persist regardless of her sobriety and remorse. She began crying and abruptly ended the call. Morgan, who was present during the call, later suggested that my words may have been too harsh, and upon reflection, I am starting to see her perspective. So, am I the asshole for allowing Jack to make his own choices and for the way I spoke to Carrie? You are not the asshole for respecting Jack's feelings and allowing him to make his own decisions regarding his relationship with his mom, especially considering the pain he experienced from her past actions. While it's important to acknowledge Carrie's efforts towards recovery, it's also valid to prioritize Jack's emotional well-being and autonomy in this situation. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.